You are knowing what you are wanting? An evolving thing. Are you enjoying how your desire expands? Really? That's a good thing if you are, because that means that you understand that just in the giving birth to a new idea, that the creation not only has begun, but is done. If your newest of ideas are thrilling you, that means that you're offering no resistance to them, which means the new idea will come to full fruition for you quickly. And in time, you'll get so good at that the new fresh idea will come to fruition immediately. In fact, you can get so in tune with your understanding of creation that in the moment that you hatch an idea, the fruition is so eminent that you will really feel the power of your being. The question and answer happening simultaneously. The problem and the solution so close together that you get focused on the solution and you don't even realize that there was a problem that took you to that leading edge solution. You get so good at understanding the power of your thought that you realize that as problems are coming into focus, so is the solution, but you're so solution-oriented, you're not even aware of the problem that's been coming into focus because you're so in tune with the solution part of the equation. You are vibrational beings and you live in a vibrational universe. And when you accept that, when you understand it, and then when you begin to take positive advantage of that understanding, then every problem, you'll feel the solution pulsing so powerfully that the problem won't take you down into justification or blame or defense. When you begin to be the deliberate creator that you were born to be, you will stand mostly in your place of alignment with who you are, feeling appreciation of every situation that causes you to focus, because you understand that focusing and deliberate creating are the same thing. Deliberate focusing and deliberate creating are the same thing. Focusing without deliberate intent can be called creating by default, because you see, you get what you focus upon. You get what you train yourself to expect. So as you focus on things, wanted or unwanted, you develop vibrational patterns. And the longer you focus, the easier it is to maintain that pattern until you develop what could be called a chronic pattern of focus or a chronic vibrational offering. That's really what a belief is. A belief is just a thought you keep focusing on. So once you develop this pattern of thought, which you could call a belief or an expectation means you've got a very well-established vibrational pattern, which means you've got a very well-established point of attraction, which means you're proving your belief to you over and over again. That's why it's so easy to believe it. It keeps happening. Esther will say, well, it's true. And we lovingly say, duh. Actually, Esther says, duh. But we send her the vibrational inclination to say it. In other words, you always get what you expect. And the thing that's tricky for humans in the accepting of that is that you expect a lot of things you don't want. So then when we begin to talk about creation, you say, well, I wouldn't create that because I didn't want it. I would not do that to myself. And we say, we didn't say you did it deliberately or intentionally, but you did do it because everything that is coming to you is coming in response to a vibrational pattern. Now, sometimes you can say accurately, well, I was taught to expect this. And we say, well, that's easy to understand because when you're surrounded by someone or near someone who believes something, then their belief has them attracting it, and as you observe them attracting it, then you're collecting data and you say, see, it's true. So now I believe it. And we say, oh, friends, you got to use a different criteria as your reason to give your attention to something. Just because it's true, just because someone believes it, just because it keeps happening is not a good criteria for you to turn your attention to it, because your attention to it will cause you to create a vibration about it until eventually it will become your point of attraction too. Now, in many regards, that's great. There are all kinds of things that are around you that you want to continue to perpetuate. There are wonderful things in your environment. In fact, most things in your environment you want to participate in. You want to participate in a way. You want to continue to perpetuate them. Now, for those of you who are really focused in your world, who really want to be realists, you want to say, oh, Abraham is really into the realm of fiction, like religion is, or all those fables and parables and stories that can't possibly be real. I went to an Abraham seminar, and this woman stood on the stage, and her husband called his wife Abraham, and she kept making a swirling motion and pointing at the floor and calling it a vortex, and we all looked, but all we could see was the rug. We understand how when you are standing in the middle of your physical world that you're interpreting through your physical senses, that a conversation about a vibrational reality that precedes all reality is not the easiest thing to hear. But you have to know that everything that is manifested was a vibrational reality first. It's vibrational, and the longer it is thought upon, the more it comes into focus, until you have this environment here where there are so many of you holding similar thoughts and expectations about things that you have a rather stable platform from which you're expanding, that you are calling reality. But we want to put emphasis upon the from which you are expanding part rather than the stable reality part, because if you get too focused upon what is, you move very slowly into what really is. We want you to know that this vibrational reality, this vortex where law of attraction is holding all things that you have asked for and the larger part of you, we want you to understand that that is present tense. And we want to say to you in a way that may appeal to your logic that if it were not reality and if it were not present tense, you wouldn't feel the tug of not going. And you wouldn't feel the thrill of going. In other words, the very emotion that you feel must help you to understand that there are two vibrational versions that are having a relationship, and your emotions equal the relationship that those two vibrational versions are having. So when you have a feeling of dissatisfaction, what that means is your life in your physical human form has caused you to ask for something that you are not up to speed with. You're more of a vibrational match to the absence of it than you are the presence of it, but the other side of the wave is brought into focus when the other side of the wave is brought into focus. You get that? Do you know how when you really don't want something, how you really want something? In other words, if you really, 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 really don't want it, then you really, 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 really do want it. You know that, don't you? If someone you didn't know called you on the telephone and said, hello, you don't know me. I'm just calling to tell you I will never call you again. You would say, that will be all right with me. But if someone you really care about tells you that, it's not really all right with you. In other words, this other side of the wave, you get that. So when you know what you don't want, and therefore you offer this vibration of what you do want. Now, we haven't said this before, but you're ready for it. So let's go to this new place relative to this. Focus on the idea of this vibrational wave. And start with the idea that as a problem is coming into focus, a solution is coming into focus too. In other words, that makes sense, doesn't it? Knowing what I don't want, knowing what I do want. But the question is, where is the perceiver of this situation in relationship to the problem and the solution? You with us? So we have a problem, and therefore we have a solution. You could also say, we have a solution, and therefore we have a problem. In other words, equal sides of the wave. So here's the question. Where is the perceiver in relationship to the problem and the solution? So now consider this. In your situation, at all times, there are two perceivers. There's the you in your human form perceiver, and there's the you, the inner being, God source, God force, soul perceiver. Well, where source is in this equation is in alignment with what is wanted, because there is no resistance in the vibration of source. So when the desire is there, source is a perfect immediate match to it, and therefore it immediately is, present tense. The question that this gathering wants to ask of you and help you to ask of yourself and answer is, biggest question that will ever come to you, where are you as a perceiver in this problem solution equation? If you are a closer match to the problem, and often you are at the beginning of the launch, you feel the resistance, you feel the strong negative emotion. The more you, as the perceiver, become a match to the solution, the more satisfaction you begin to feel. Make sense? The less discord that you feel. We've been saying this to you in a lot of different ways, but the thing that we so want you to get, leading edge rascals that you are, we want you to understand that as this problem is coming into focus, the solution is too. And you get to choose where in this span of probabilities or possibilities you're hanging around most. What are you practicing? So, as we've been talking about this vortex, we love this analogy because as you are knowing what you don't want and knowing what you do want and setting forth all of this, we've been saying for years that when you ask, it is given, and contrast causes you to ask. That's those rockets going forward. And we've been saying for years that when you ask, that source answers, and that's source becoming an immediate vibrational match because source has no resistance to what you've asked for. And then the third part of the three-step process is you have to become a match. You have to allow yourself to be vibrationally up to speed, which means to be vibrationally absent of resistance, in order to have the full manifestation of what you are wanting. So now, in this leading edge discussion that we were having just now, we're saying to you that when you're up to speed with who you are, you're in the vortex. And when you're in the vortex, the problem does not feel like a problem. And why does the problem not feel like a problem when you're in the vortex, even before the solution has completely manifest? Because when you're in the vortex and therefore up to speed with the solution and therefore up to speed with all that you are and therefore non-resistant to what you want, now you're in the place of allowing the manifestation. Now, humans have this habit, we love you very much, of not wanting to feel the success of something until it manifests. It's like, show me the money, then I'll be glad. Show me my lover, and then I'll be glad. Show me the evidence of good things, and then I'll be happy. So most people stand outside the vortex most of the time and let what's happening in their experience dictate where their vibration is. So you let reality train your vibration. Now we want to say reality is magnificent, the reality that you live, because it is the bouncing off place. It's what's putting all of this expansion over there. But you all are so over excited about perusing and documenting and discussing reality that you hold yourself for inordinate amounts of time in vibrational concert with, from our perspective, what was, instead of with what is. And the emotion that you feel is because you're not up to speed with who you are, with what is, with what is, with what is. When you ask for money, that money is. And when you keep bemoaning the fact that you don't have it in your bank account, you deprive yourself of the vibrational alignment with the money that is, and you don't let it manifest. And it would manifest. It would manifest fast if you'd stop doing that thing you're doing that is keeping you from the discovery of the path to the manifestation of the very thing that you're asking for. That was as clear as we've ever said it. Did you get it?